All right, crew, what is up? How is everybody doing today? It is a Tuesday, but it is a special Tuesday. It is New Year's Eve. Pumped to be here with you. I am Dr. Jeff Moore, currently serving as a CEO over here at ICE, and thrilled to jump on as the very last episode of the year and maybe do a little bit of a reframe as the clocks and calendars turn. So we are going to chat about ecosystem forward plant management, obviously a play on fitness forward, right? And I think it is as potent a topic as anything else that we could discuss here as we get into kind of a meditative planning forward thinking phase. I really want this to be front and center. So it's no secret around here that my favorite quote of all time is, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Now, I'm normally espousing this truth as it relates to business, right? That building great teams has immense benefits. And no doubt this is true, and we won't rehash all of the whys. But what I don't talk about enough is the effect on manipulating who is around you in regards to your personal growth. And that's where we're going to journey today. Now, I love New Year's Eve. And the reason I love New Year's Eve is that the normalized behavior is to think about bettering yourself. It's what everybody's doing, right? They're creating resolutions, they're reflecting on their year, but the normalized behavior is thinking about bettering yourself. So that's what you do, because that's what's going on around you. That's what this episode is all about, right? Normalizing behaviors that are surrounding you in order to better yourself. Now, my guess is, I've got no data supporting this, but my guess is that tonight, over 90% of the resolutions that are created are going to focus on changing oneself by working on oneself. That's noble. That's great. It's also the hardest, and it's the least effective. My ask for you today, this morning, is consider maybe this year focusing on changing the ecosystem you're trying to grow in, as opposed to focusing on your personal ability to grow. Brian Melrose here at ICE is the resident plant expert, and I am not trying to usurp that position. He's done the reps, he's put the time in, he has the expertise. But I am very comfortable in saying that if you want a plant to grow, the biggest levers are in the environment, not in the plant itself. Now, yes, you can do things to the actual plant, right? You can trim it, you can trellis it, etc., right? You can focus on the plant. Not saying that won't help. I am willing to say that will pale in comparison to putting that plant in the right ecosystem, where it's got nutrient-rich soil, it's got adequate sunlight, right? You trim the canopy, right? It's got a lot of abundant sunlight coming in. It's got tons of fresh water available. If you get that plant in the right environment, that plant will grow. With humans, the people that are surrounding you are by far the most important element of your environment. The energy they bring, the actual physical resources they bring and manifest, the people around you are the most important piece of that ecosystem. Recently, I saw that James Clear quote from Atomic Habits, which I don't know why it started resurfacing, but it's a great book. If you've never read it, certainly worth going and dabbling in. But the quote is, build cultures where the normal behavior is the desired one. And that's what we're talking about here. And let me provide some examples that hopefully help this sink in further as you're about to set the stage for your 2025 goals. December was a crazy month for me, busyness-wise. And it started off with, I rented this Penske truck and I drove across the country. I probably drove through, 12 states, maybe across like 5 or 6 days. The reason being, I was shuffling tables around for ICE physio courses that as opposed to having all these individual locations, ship them around. It made more sense for me just to grab a truck and drive kind of coast to Colorado and just move all the tables around, made it easier on everybody. The point is, I'm driving across all these states, I'm interfacing with all these clinics, and I get back to Colorado 5 or 6 days later, and a bunch of people asked me, are you tired? And it was interesting because I paused for a second and thought, No, I'm not tired at all. I feel fantastic. And the question is, why was that the case? And the answer is everywhere that I went across all of those states, interfacing with all of those people, all of those days, the constant expected or normalized behavior was working out. Everywhere I pulled up, the first thing we did was knocked out a workout in people's garages, in people's clinics. They had the resources, they had the desire. The normalized behavior was working out. And it generally was followed by eating clean. And in between stops, I usually got a great podcast recommendation that was about growth and development. So the normalized behavior was all of that stuff. My point is, it was not a credit to my willpower that I arrived back in Colorado feeling healthier. It is instead is a credit to our culture because everywhere I went, the normalized behavior were things that made me feel better. And so over and over and over again, I did those things because that's the ecosystem I was in. So when I arrived, I wasn't fatigued. I felt fantastic. Crew, as you ponder ways to improve, both personally and professionally in 2025, I'm encouraging you to think about ecosystem forward goals. Surround yourself with colleagues and friends who treat the way you want to treat, who run their businesses the way you want to. Surround yourself with people who spend the way you want to spend because you're going to get caught up in this. Whatever the normalized behavior is of the crew you're surrounding yourself with, you're going to do most of those kind of things. That's either going to be working out and talking business and eating healthy, or it's going to be the exact opposite. But you're going to adapt to the environment that you're in. If you want to get better in 2025, maybe this year, think about changing that environment. Where you choose to plant yourself is going to be the most important decision. Where will you plant yourself in 2025? That's the question I want to leave you with here on New Year's Eve. It is the lowest friction way to make the biggest amount of gains. Maybe this season, we don't focus quite so much on the plant. We focus more so on the ecosystem where we choose to plant it. Give it some thought. I will see you in 2025. Mm-mm.